my goodness, everybody. Announcement time. Haven't done one of these in quite a while. I have two things that I would love to share, and both of them happen to be tied in with each other. Let's go through it. Let's talk about the first thing that has to do specifically with you, the listeners of this podcast. What will follow for the next 3 episodes of What Magic Is This is going to be a special 3-episode series, maybe 4, depending on if things go right, but definitely 3 episodes regarding books of magic. We're going to be talking grimoires. We're going to be talking about spell books. Trust me, it is going to be amazing because I love these things, and you listen to my show, and you love my show, so I know that you love these things as well. And longtime listener, I know you are familiar with the fact that every once in a while, my show will lock down on a certain thing, like Aleister Crowley, or like fairies, or like certain forms of divination, and we will try to go deep on very specific aspects or topics within these realms. So yes, for the next 3 episodes, we're going to be talking books of magic. And I am extremely excited with the people I'm going to have on to talk about these kind of things. I can barely keep it to myself. I'm so excited. I have been devoting a lot of my attention recently to the research of these things, and it's just, I love it. So I hope that my enthusiasm gets ported in straight through these episodes. You are not going to want to miss the next 3 episodes of What Magic Is This? And what's more, we're going to go a little bit off the beaten path. We're going to be talking about 3 things, 3 episodes, in which I don't think anybody on other podcasts has touched on in a comprehensive way. Some of you might think like, oh, Doug's going to talk about claviculas or keys of Solomon. No, we're not going to talk about that. It's been talked about enough already. We're going to go to unfamiliar places with these next 3 shows. Some of you might ask, well, why? Why do this? What's the point? Well, for one, I know you like books. I know you like listening to me talk about books. But there is, of course, a catch, as there has to be. There is a trick. We are magicians, are we not? There is a trick to the announcement of the Magic Books special, because the first thing that I just announced is tied in to the second thing that I am just about to announce. Allow me to talk about a scenario that has happened countless times since I started my podcast all the way back in 2019. As each and every one of you know, I have very, very extensive show notes for each and every episode that I do. And a lot of times, I will recommend the books. Most of them I have read. Well, a lot of them I have read. Not most of them, but a lot of them I have read and vetted and been like, this is a great book that goes along with this topic. And so I'll put it up in the show notes. And then somebody will come to me and they say, you know, Doug, you do a lot of recommendations for these books. And you spend a lot of time on these show notes. And you make me want to buy the books that you recommend on your podcast and here in the show notes. You should probably try to get some kind of a commission on recommending all of these great books, because you just talked about that thing, and then I went out and got that book that you recommended. You should probably, wet your beak a little with the recommendation of these books. And I went, sure, that sounds great. And I just kind of ignored it because for the most part, everybody was trying to recommend to me that I affiliate myself with the current contemporary contender for omni-consumer products. And so for the most part, I would just say, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, and I wouldn't do anything about it. Until somewhat recently, somebody within my Patreon community and my Discord, thank you very much, Susan, recommended to me an organization and a company that very much jives with the kind of thing that I want to do, which is the supporting of local independent booksellers. I think that independent booksellers have been, and there's a long tenured tradition here, have been the ones that have kept a lot of the more literate aspects of magic and occult within the West alive. It is the lovely folks who have the mom and pop used bookshop or independent bookshop that has helped magic and the occult for so long. And so this rather long-winded story that I'm relaying to you now is part of the announcement that goes with having the next 3 episodes be about books of magic. And that is that I have now set up for my website and for this podcast an affiliate program with a company that I really like called bookshop.org. So first I'm going to tell you a little bit about bookshop.org, and I'm not being paid for this, just so everybody knows. I'm going to talk a little bit about them and why I like them. And then I'm going to talk about how it works and how you folks can get involved in some way that also helps me. Bookshop.org was set up expressly to help independent bookstores. It began in January of 2020, and it started with, I believe, around 88 independent bookshops within the United States and Canada, and it has since grown to well over 1,000. And so these independent bookshops all across the United States and Canada and Europe. And so what happens is when you buy a book from their enormous library, they have a huge amount of books that are available, is that pretty much almost all of the profits go straight to the booksellers themselves. But what also happens is where I come in with my recommendations is that I set up an online virtual bookshop that allows you to pick any of the books, well, most of the books that I suggest either on my show or in my show notes. And then part of me recommending these books for you through my bookshops that I have is that I get a small amount of change for you picking that book through my affiliate bookstore. And it's about 10%. I'm totally upfront with that. So let's say you hear on my podcast that I recommend this specific book about this specific topic, and then you head to whatmagicisthis.com, you click on the show notes there, and you find that book that I talked about, and you click the link that goes to my bookstore, and then you buy that book. Let's say this book is $10. Well, then I see $1 of that. Bookshop.org then gets about $1.50 of that. And then the other $7.50 goes to the bookseller themselves. And the reason for this is because of love. I'm not being wishy-washy with this or overly soppy. It's truly because we want you to get the books that you need because we love books and we love reading and we love supporting independent booksellers. So there you have it. From here on in, almost all of the books that I'm going to be recommending on What Magic Is This and in the show notes specifically, because a lot of times I'm not going to talk about books, but they will be listed in the show notes at whatmagicisthis.com. And if you really want that book and you want to get it, it helps me and it helps the independent bookstores. What could be better than that? So you folks listening get 3 episodes about books and magic, and you also get notified that I have an affiliate bookshop set up at bookshop.org. Let's give you a few more. Hang in there. I know this is going on for pretty long, but please, there's some more details that I would love for each and everybody listening to this to have. How do you find my bookshop? Well, for one, you can head to whatmagicisthis.com and you will find a link to my store there. Or you can just do what you've always done and head to whatmagicisthis.com, go to the show notes, and click on any one of the books there. Most likely it will be sold by one of the independent bookshops at bookshop.org, and then that will take you to that specific book, which will be under the umbrella of the What Magic Is This bookshop.org store. Or if you don't want to do that circuitous method and you just want to go straight direct, you can head to bookshop.org/shop/What Magic Is This. And the bookshop is going to be organized in the same way that I organize my episodes. It's going to go in order from newest to oldest. So as of speaking today, in early September of 2024, you're going to start with Time Magic, and it's going to go all the way down to Discordianism, which was my very first episode. However, I will say this. This project has necessitated that each and every one of the links in my show notes be changed to an affiliate link at bookshop.org. And I am the one doing all of this. Now, someone would be like, why don't you just pay somebody to do this? I'll tell you why I need to do this myself. And I'm spending hours every day and have been for the last little while doing this because there's lots of different editions of certain books, particularly within Magic. And I want to make sure that you are getting the copy of the book that you need. I am going through each and every one of the books that I have listed in my show notes and are putting them there at bookshop.org. And if you head to bookshop.org/shop/what magic is this, you will see basically every book that is being sold through one of these independent bookshops that is part of bookshop.org that I think is relevant and needs to be read as part of understanding the myriad of topics that I cover here on What Magic Is This? But, and another but, there's lots of them this episode, but as I mentioned, it is me, Doug, the creator of this podcast, the person that spends 50 to 60 hours every week doing the podcast and the Patreon stuff. That is also fine-tooth combing every single one of the episodes on my website and the show notes within those episode web pages and adding those affiliate links. It's me doing all of it. So all of this is to say that I don't have every single episode of What Magic Is This up there yet. I have pretty much most of the newish episodes. I have all of the 2024 episodes up there, but I am slowly chipping away at this because I can't devote every hour of my day to doing this for a couple of reasons. First one being that it would drive me absolutely crazy and I'd be just a really cranky person. I do not enjoy doing the website stuff. And the other reason is because I have this show to do. This show, it already takes an enormous amount of my time. Some of you may well ask, well, Doug, why are you doing this if you don't have all of the links there in the episodes for all of the books that you mentioned, and then you're releasing this already? Well, I wanted to do these episodes on Books of Magic first, and I thought it would just be fun to do two birds, one stone kind of thing, and to make the announcement. But I'm slowly chipping away at it. If you check back in about a month, I will have every single one of the links for every single book that I recommend that will be in the What Magic Is This bookshop. But that being said, if there's a book that you're just absolutely champing at the bit to want, and you would love to support me and you'd love to support the independent bookshops at bookshop.org, I know this is a rather big ask, and it's a little bit rough around the edges for somebody who's got, tens of thousands of listeners every month. But if there's one book that you're really like, Doug, you haven't created the bookshop book list yet about this topic, but I really want this book from you, and I'd love to support you. Just email me at whatmagicisthispodcast@gmail.com. I will send you an affiliate link, and everything will be fine. But if you check back in a couple of weeks, pretty much almost, if not all, of the episodes that I have covered on my podcast will have their own bookshop.org affiliate page. So in summary, as this is just coming up, encroaching on the 15-minute mark, the next 3 episodes going to be about magical books. And if you really want to buy a book and you'd prefer not to support omni-consumer products and instead support independent booksellers as well as me to help me out a little bit with paying for the costs of running my podcast, because that's all I'm going to get for this. I don't think I'm going to make a ton of money from this. The reason I'm doing it is because I know a lot of people would love to see all of the books that I mentioned during my episodes in one place and that they can buy them. This is it. Here you go. Not every single book that I talk about, but about 95% of them will be available for you to purchase, and that it helps me and it helps the independent booksellers. So all of these things, everything that you need will be available at whatmagicisthis.com. Head to the menu. You'll find the What Magic Is This bookshop. There's a link there. Please head there, take a look, or you can just do as you've always done. Go to whatmagicisthis.com, click on the menu tab, go to episodes, find any of the episodes there that are interesting to you, and then just click on the link to the book, and then it'll take you to my bookshop as well. But if you want to just head straight there and browse what I've already added to my online virtual bookstore, that is bookshop.org/shop/what magic is this. Okie dokie, folks. So yeah, absolutely. If you love buying books and you like having books as much as I do, and you'd like that the dollar that you spend on a book that you really want to enjoy, and that you know in your heart that the dollar that you spend helps not only the podcast that you love listening to, but perhaps some independent shop somewhere in the world that is doing its best to make sure that weird people like you can continue to keep this Western magical tradition alive. I would greatly appreciate your patronage. One final time, bookshop.org/shop/what magic is this, or head to whatmagicisthis.com. Check out the show notes there on each episode, or click in the menu bar and find the What Magic Is This bookshop. Remember, though, not every book is going to be there quite yet, but it will be. Just give me a little bit of time. Okie dokie. I hope that was relatively painless. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this. I really greatly appreciate it. Here's to books. Here's to the folks supporting me on Patreon. Here's to Susan for recommending bookshop.org to me. And here is to you, as always, the humble listeners of What Magic Is This? All right. Let's talk about some books. Here we go. You ready? I know I am. Let's sign off here with that funky fanfare music. All right, everybody. We'll see you in about a week or so. Ta.